Hello and welcome back to Good Nightmare, a podcast where sometimes it takes two. In this case, it took 2 attempts to record this episode because I wanted to bring you the best I could produce. You may have seen from the episode title that today we are looking at a fairy tale, something that I haven't covered in a little while on Good Nightmare. I've been sticking to axe murders mostly as the weather cools down here in Australia. Somehow true crime just seems fitting for the colder weather. This episode was recommended by a listener via the Facebook group, which you can find at Good Nightmare Pod. So thank you to Pamela for sending this suggestion through. I would also like to dedicate this episode to my friend Abby, because I have been teasing this episode to her for a little while and she seemed really excited about it, which was very encouraging. Abby also gave me the feedback that she often listens to these podcast episodes to fall asleep to, which is really exciting because that's kind of what I designed them for. Of course, you can listen at any time of day for whatever purpose. I originally created Good Nightmare because I wanted something in the way of a bedtime story. I myself listen to podcasts or YouTube videos when I'm trying to fall asleep, and it helps me immensely. So I wanted to offer the same to others. That being said, this will be a 2-part episode. In this first section, I'm going to tell you the history behind the fairy tale. The next episode will be a straight reading of the fairy tale itself. It won't have much of an introduction and no promos at the end because it will be a fairy tale reading in a bedtime story style, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Today we are looking at the real story behind Beauty and the Beast. Most fairy tales are plucked from somewhere between imagination and reality. You might have wondered where the tale of Beauty and the Beast could possibly have come from. It's not every day that you see a cursed, wild man living in a castle, marrying a peasant woman from the local town. Well, today we'll explore its history. While unconfirmed, it is strongly believed that this history is where the tale came from, or at least what it was strongly inspired by. Pedro Gonzalez was born in Spain in 1537. He was described as an unassuming man, but for one affliction. Pedro had a condition called hypertrichosis. Hypertrichosis is a condition where an abnormal amount of hair grows over the body. It can either be generalized, covering the entire body, or localized to a particular area of the body or face. The condition can either present later in life, or it may be congenital, meaning that it's present at birth. Unsurprisingly and disappointingly, you may, as I was, be familiar with the condition through the history of circus freak shows, where women and men with the condition, for example the bearded lady or the wolfman, were presented as half beast and half human. It was this condition that led to the infamy of Pedro and his family. Pedro was considered a nobleman, or at least lived among them as almost an equal by the end of his life. According to History vs. Hollywood, he came to the court of Henry II in 1547, having been shipped over as a gift. He was called a wild man and was fed raw meat and kept in a cage. Henry apparently did not see Pedro as simply a beast, and instead took it upon himself to educate the man behind the condition, having him taught to read and work and live among high society. From there, Pedro went on to the court of Margaret of Parma. It was here that he married Lady Catherine, who he's said to have met for the first time on the day of their wedding. Their marriage was somewhat of an experiment in itself. What would happen if a beast were to marry and bear children with a regular woman? The pair went on to have 7 children, 4 of which also had hypertrichosis, and they were considered a wild family, not entirely human. Though they were high-ranking, the family became the focus of medical inquiry. Not much is known about Pedro's personal life otherwise, though it is considered that his marriage to Catherine may have been the inspiration behind the tale Beauty and the Beast, which was originally published in France by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve in 1740. Please excuse my accent on these French names. They are beautiful and I am butchering them, not for lack of trying. Several paintings of the pair were commissioned, which you can find on my social media. I'll leave links in the show notes and also mention them at the end of the show. The tale of Beauty and the Beast was rewritten by Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont and was directed at an audience of young ladies, rather than children. Though it was much less magical and musical than the Disney classic many of us know and love. Unlike the Disney tale, Pedro's hypertrichosis could not be healed with a kiss or a declaration of love, and it was not a curse. It was simply a medical condition. Though Pedro is said to have lived a long life, little is known of its end. History versus Hollywood speculate that his death and later life may not have been recorded, as aside from being of medical interest and being considered a pet of royalty, he wasn't considered fully human and may not have been given an appropriate burial. Given the beliefs of the time, I am inclined to believe in this speculation and would also assume that this may be why there wasn't much recorded about his life. In the next episode of this 2-part topic, I'll read you the tale of Beauty and the Beast as published by Beaumont. Beaumont was the first to publish the tale, though of course not the first to write it. The original story was the length of a novella and very atmospheric, whereas Beaumont pared the tale down to its bare bones. You'll notice some significant differences between this tale and the one most of us are familiar with. For example, I'm reasonably sure there's no singing candelabra. I hope you enjoyed this little look into fairy tale history. You can expect more of these episodes, as I do love diving into fairy tales every now and then. Let me know your favourite fairy tale. You can catch me on social media, on Instagram or Twitter at goodnightmare_s, on Facebook at goodnightmarepod. If you'd like to get in touch directly, which I very much enjoy, you can email me at goodnightmare_s@outlook.com. I am very responsive to any emails or social media tags, but I'm most responsive on email. Sometimes social media can get a little overwhelming. As always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you again to Pamela and to Abby for inspiring this episode. Until next time, sweet dreams.
Hey, Slackers, I'm Matt.
And I'm Jesse.
We host American Slacker, the show that keeps you updated on all of the weirdest news around the globe, along with what's going on in the world of Xbox, music and movie suggestions, and fun interactive games.
Every other week, we bring on interesting guests from all walks of life, from filmmakers to musicians, funeral directors to small business owners, and even Jeff Goldblum.
What? No, we never got Goldblum, man.
Oh, a man can dream, can't he?
American Slacker Podcast. New episodes every Wednesday.
Available on Spotify, iTunes, and all of your smart devices, or anywhere else, you might happen to cop a podcast.
They're downloading MP3s, not buying an eighth. I'm shutting this shit down. That's it.
There you go.